All right, welcome back to the SSL Family Dad channel for another installment of the Indoor Grow Week. So we have gone through two other ways that we grow indoors. The first was the mini aquaponics system that we put together here, and that's running right behind me there, up on the shelf. And then we went through the hydroponic system. That was a prefab put together unit that you can purchase on Amazon. It's all together, everything you need. It has lights, it automatically does timing for the lights. It comes with nutrient solution. You just fill it with water, plant your stuff, and watch it grow. That was kind of an off-the-shelf model or way to grow inside. And then behind me, I have a couple of our DIY ways, a couple ways that I made, put together myself here with just stuff that we had laying around and some things that we purchased. And I've gone through a lot of this stuff in the past, but this is kind of the most longest used way that we have been growing indoors throughout the winter times. This has gone for a couple seasons now for us. So we have a grow shelf behind me that we'll talk a little bit about. You saw me planting some wheatgrass and some microgreens, some broccoli sprouts there at the beginning. And then over here we have the indoor vermicompost bin that also we grow directly in. So we don't harvest the vermicompost or anything like that. We compost right in that bin. The worms eat it, turn it into soil for us, and we grow directly in that. And so I will show you kind of both systems here, show you what we have growing, and then we're going to plant something special today in the indoor grow bin behind us here. So stick around for that. So all of this is just in our basement corner here, and so you'll hear some water running behind me. That's the sump pump. There's unfortunately nothing I can do about that, so I apologize about the background noise. But this little shelf here, it was an old plastic Walmart shelf that we've had for years that was converted into a grow shelf. And you can see underneath it we have mounted these little grow lights. This grow shelf was put together a couple years ago. We use this for starting seeds as well as growing things. So we've grown all lettuces and spinaches and all kinds of other things throughout the year last year. And in here right now, I just put a little bit of soil, and then I sprinkled all those broccoli seeds in there. And so we'll grow some broccoli sprouts. We'll harvest those off for salads and things. And then down here, I've got a bunch of wheat that will grow for wheatgrass, and you can use that again in salads and other things also. I do need to add a little bit more soil. I just ran out of the soil I had inside, and it's pouring rain out right now, so we'll go get some fresh soil to sprinkle on top of that, about another ½ inch of soil on top of these trays. These are just those cheap greenhouse trays. We got these with I think we bought these with seedlings or something else that we bought a long time ago, and I just save and reuse these, but they fit perfectly on this little shelf. So I did a whole video on building this shelf. It has 3 shelves that actually have grow space on them. In here we actually have some seedlings that we're starting here, and then a lot of times what we'll do, this is a celery bottom that we cut off and then we re-sprouted, and so this will it's starting to root now, and you can see all the old celery dying off the edges there, and that's starting to get some roots on the bottom. So once it's established enough, I'll go ahead and pop that into the grow bed there and plant that right in the dirt, and that'll regrow some celery for us, and we'll cut it again, and you can keep harvesting celery. You can keep cutting it and harvesting it that way. But this shelf, all built from just kind of leftover materials. It's got an old surge protector built into the bottom of it where all the lights are all wired up. There are switches built in to the back side of it that you can turn off, individual lights here. And both the grow shelf and the grow light here are all on a timer, so these all turn on and off automatically for me. And then over here we have the vermicompost grow bed. I haven't come up with a better name than that for it, so that's what it is. So what people do a lot of times, and what we've done in the past, is you'll have a worm bin of some sort. You'll throw compost in it. You'll throw coffee grinds and food scraps and things like that in there, and the worms will break that stuff down and create vermicompost for you. You can then make worm teas and all kinds of other things out that and use to fertilize plants. But what we do instead is we have created a grow bed here. This is made out of a horse trough. It's a small horse trough, and filled it up with straw and compost and other things. And what we do is, you'll see coffee grinds in here. These are all the husks from our beans that we had, kidney beans and other kinds of beans that were dried beans, and we harvested all those out, and all the shucks went in here, all the shells from those. You'll see, house plants and other things that died off, got composted in here. The actual coffee filters themselves, those will all break down, and a bunch of other stuff in here, scraps, food scraps and other things that will just end up in here. And this is filled with worms. Once you get down in here, you can see A couple of, here's one right here. The worms are just all throughout here. They're eating up all that stuff in there, all the organic matter, all the coffee grounds, and these bean shells and all that stuff. As it breaks down, the worms will help break that stuff down, and then that creates an awesome soil mix for the plants that are growing in here. Now these have been kind of cut back and transplanted, and there's a bunch of peppers. These are all bell peppers in here, and those are doing really well. I just cut these back. They got really tall and they all fell over, and so I cut everything back. And I mean, just look at the flowers on this thing. There's probably 15 or 20 bell peppers on this little plant, and so we may have to even cut some of those off. There's so many of them on there. And these little stakes now I'm going to use to help to hold these up and support them a little bit better. But man, these things are just doing really, really well. The one thing I like about hydroponics and aquaponics is that I never have to remember to water. I do forget to water this very often, and it's pretty dry over here in the wintertime, and so they have suffered a little bit from that. But this rosemary bush was big enough it took over this whole area over here. I mean, it was probably a good 2 feet tall, 2 feet wide in all directions. And I just cut this all back as well, but this rosemary just grows so well in here. The trunk on that thing is just crazy. It's like a tree. So that rosemary's been doing really well in here. And a lot of times I like to experiment with other things. So I have a pineapple that we are planted in here. That's the top of a pineapple that we cut off, put it in water for a few days or weeks or whatever, let it start to root a little bit, and then planted it in here in the soil. And so you can see this is all fresh growth. This whole layer from here on inward is all new growth. This may have been new growth, but you can see the old growth dying back there. And from what I understand, pineapples take quite a long time to grow, and they will get really big. And so I probably will transplant this out in the springtime to our greenhouse, and we'll try to grow that throughout the summer and winter of next year, and see if we can get a pineapple. That'd be pretty cool. And we've got lots of other space in here. We can grow other things. I may plant some bush beans or some other stuff that will kind of grow and fill in some of these areas. There's actually some alfalfa growing in here that was from our compost mixture and somehow ended up growing in here. And so that's actually a legume. It's a nitrogen fixer, so we'll leave it in here to help fix some nitrogen for us. But it's not doing much for us here as far as food goes. So this entire grow bed here is powered by an LED grow light. This is a Mars Hydro. I'll link to this one in the description. I really like this light. It's long and it matches the silhouette of the grow bed perfectly, and the coverage area of this is just perfect. I have it set about 2.5 to 3 feet above the bed, and it just is perfect for these plants in here. Everything's been growing really well throughout the year, and doing really good under this light. So I've used a couple different grow lights in here. I've used 2 grow lights, different Unit Farm, Mars Hydro, and some others. But I definitely like this grow light the best so far. But we're going to plant something in here today that I've never grown before, and that certainly doesn't grow in Michigan. So we're going to have to use some indoor grow methods to grow that. So let's get some seeds out and plant that out. All right, the thing that we are going to try to grow today is coffee. M.I. Gardener Seeds, he sells coffee at his store. I picked these up when we were out for his grand opening of his seed store out in Port Huron, Michigan. And I've been wanting to plant them ever since. Now, coffee, of course, doesn't grow here in Michigan well, but I think we can start this inside. Let's get these established a little bit in here, and then maybe I can move them out to the greenhouse, to the heated grow bed, and see if we can grow those, maybe a coffee bush or whatever they are, coffee tree or bush, throughout the year. So let's see if we can plant a couple of these. Maybe we can get one to sprout. That's what we have. I'm going to plant all of them. Why not? And we'll see. Maybe I could even put one in a pot or something in here. But how cool to plant coffee in Michigan. So if you want your own coffee seeds, you'll have to check the link in the description. He does sell them on his website, I believe. So let's put one back here and a couple up front so I can see them. Days to germination, 20 to 40. That is a long germination period. And days to maturity, 3 to 4 years. So it'll be 3 to 4 years before we have our own coffee, but we'll see if we can get it done. It's always so much fun, for me anyway, to grow things inside during the winter months when I can't go outside and garden or farm. So this is a way for me to fill that need and produce some food for us. So this is all about producing healthy food year-round. It's always about, you know, coming downstairs and cutting off some leafy greens, cutting off some of the wheatgrass or spinach or lettuce or whatever we're growing down here. Grab a bell pepper off the plant and use that for a salad. Use fresh food right here that we can grow ourselves, you know, in the middle of November, December, January, February here in Michigan or any of the northern states. So growing indoors is a great way to provide healthy food for yourself, and it's super easy to do, and it doesn't take up much space. I mean, we have 4 different grow systems in this little area in our house. We've got this grow shelf, which we can produce leafy greens and salad greens and things like that year round on. We've got the vermicompost bin behind me. It's just a very small bin. It's only 3 or 4 feet by, you know, 2 or 3 feet wide. And then we have the hydroponic system, which again, that's really small. You saw that the other day. And then the mini aquaponic system, which we can grow leafy greens in as well. So you've got lots and lots of different ways to grow inside. Section off a corner of your basement, or a sunroom, or a shelf somewhere, a windowsill, and plant some stuff and get it growing. And it's nice too because we can grow things that we could not normally grow in Michigan. We've had a citrus tree that we've kept for several years by moving it in and out of the house during the different seasons. You can do the same with avocado trees. You can do the same with olive trees. You can do the same with lemons or limes or pineapples, or, you know, all these different nut trees and other things that you can't grow in this climate. There's dwarf varieties and all kinds of other things that you can do. And hopefully we can grow some coffee. So that'll be pretty cool to try out. So wish me luck on that, and I'll keep you updated on how well the coffee growing goes. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed the Grow Week. This is the 3rd video in the series for the Indoor Grow Week here. Please throw your questions and comments down below. Don't forget to hit thumbs up on today's video. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. Have a good one.